First order of business is to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
I would move that we approve the minutes of the last meeting.
Second?
Any changes, additions, or deletions? Seeing none, those in favor? Thank you, Kim. Selectmen's comments, Tom.
Yeah, a couple things. Kim and I worked together last week to make progress on the new personnel policy, and I think we're going to be able to, we'll have to do one more little session and then reduce it down to a dozen or so questions that the board will have to sort of consider, some policy choices that we need to make. So hopefully do that before the next board meeting. The Climate Resilience Committee is organizing an Earth Day community cleanup event on Earth Day, April 22nd. So that is now on the calendar, I believe, on the town calendar, and they're going to
Tuesday.
Tuesday the 22nd.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's it.
Okay. Allison?
Zippo. I know, hell froze over, didn't it?
You still my heart.
Just a couple small things. I talked to Dave Allen the other day, and so you're all aware of the culvert replacement on 127 that was supposed to take place this summer is pushed back to next year. The one that's in the gully north of Old Stage Road.
So they're gonna tar it this year and tear it up next year.
That's it. One other note is,
It'd be worth just,
we're trying.
okay.
Trying.
No, I mean,
They're not even going to go to bid until February of 26.
Okay.
And so it's in the current work plan.
Yeah, I know, I saw that.
The other thing to note is Dave Allen said that they did listen to some of our concerns about the middle road condition, and they found another $500,000, and they're going to do some shimming before the overlay. And so.
But then they're gonna tear it up and put a culvert in.
Is that just
Woolwich? Dividend it anyways, right?
Yeah, well, I don't, the project's from Dresden to, just telling you what he
And they
said.
did a little bit of stuff last year too, sort of.
Yeah, some shoulder work and
Yeah.
ditching and some other things, but I just noticed the work plan caught my eye
Yeah.
that project got pushed.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, and I called and I said, "You're kidding, right?" And they're like, "No, it's 26 now." It's like, okay, and this, as you know, this is all 26 now.
Yeah.
So the road out here,
Well, I suppose we should be grateful that we're gonna get something out of the deal.
well, Route 1's getting paved this summer.
I know.
So you're paying Route 1 without fixing it?
Route 1 is starting at the near Cumberland Farm, skipping the Reed and Reed project area and going to the railroad bridge at the flea market, and it's mill and fill, and that's this summer. And that's a fact.
The 10-foot shoulders?
Let's not talk about shoulders.
What holiday are they gonna do around?
The best part is,
You
the best part is Dave Allen didn't know that the culvert got pushed to 26. So,
I bet you enjoyed telling me that.
yeah, and he's like, after we pave it, I go, you guys run the show. I don't know. Anyway, nothing else.
I have nothing tonight. Public comments, if it's not on the agenda, talk to us about it now. If it's on the agenda, please wait for it to come up. Anything? Yes, ma'am.
I have a question about the workshop for the LD 2013, or 2003. We were supposed to do something in February. Did I miss that?
You mean the planning ordinance, you mean the one that you were here for?
The one for the density growth and all
So I don't know if it's in Mike's report, but the planning board meets next week. If you recall, the town attorney was gonna work on drafting some language.
Okay.
I think this is rough, but I think the intention is to have a public hearing by the early April to have ready for town meeting.
Okay.
So if you remember, Michelle, it's there's eventually a look over of all the ordinances, but this is to correct a couple of inconsistencies and some verbiage that we talked about that night.
Yeah.
And so we're just waiting for, did you mention it at all?
No.
I talked to Mike on Monday and he was gonna reach out. They meet next week. They're aware of it.
Okay.
Stay tuned.
Okay, so
The plan-
we'll have a chance to come in and comment on whatever the planning board has put together.
Yeah,
As far as
absolutely.
the new ordinances and zoning and all that.
Planning ordinance
Okay.
amendments require public hearings and,
So I have more time to read this over and get ready for it.
yeah, well, you'll be able to see what the proposed.
Yeah.
Do some more homework.
Well, I'm very interested in it, because I know it's gonna affect our town.
Yeah.
So that's why I just wanted to make sure I was on top of it.
Yeah.
That's all. Thank you. The other thing can I comment on the library fund request, or should I put that on as a, agenda item for,
How long is it gonna take?
it could take a little
So,
while.
so real quickly though, we've been in budget, we have not made any decisions. The select board has to vote to put things on a warrant to bring to the folks to vote up and down. So the other day, I don't know if you were there, but Tom, I think you were there, but, they just submit their budget request, select board still compiles everything, so you have time.
Right, because they didn't present a budget, they didn't have a budget for you to show you where the money was going.
They did actually, they did, they had an itemized, they
Okay.
said, yeah, they gave, I don't think you were there, right, but they gave us an itemized budget.
Yeah, I don't have it.
That compares last year to this year.
Okay, so I have some concerns over that, so I can wait.
Okay, but it showed how they justify it.
Shows how they justify
They
it,
justify
but it doesn't show if there's any carry forward to it.
Right.
Yeah,
She said there
so,
wasn't, I think she said there was carryover last year, but it wasn't carried.
Right.
no, I have some concerns about that, so
But
maybe,
don't forget though, at town meeting, you know, you can, none of that's, all we do is put these together,
okay,
create a warrant, the select board votes on a warrant that is what is presented at town meeting. So
Alright.
every article is voted on by the townspeople.
all right, well, thank you, I still have my training wheels on, so I
And I-
appreciate you explaining that to me.
Well,
As I say several times a year, we are not the legislative body of the town of Woolwich, the town meeting is.
Yes,
We put the budget
understandable.
together, but you
Yeah.
folks get to say yes or no on it.
Okay,
but I could also, in the meantime, send you a copy
that would be
of
great.
what they gave us.
I would like that, because I've done a lot of research on this, and
Okay.
I'm not cool with
Okay.
it, so.
Tom?
Yeah, as a point of clarification on the, school board, yeah, the library, when does that warrant go to press? Is it possible to get some comments at a select board meeting in that regard to the library wording of the warrant? Or,
The library does not make the wording of the warrant, we do.
I understand that, so does that wording go to press before another select board meeting, or what's the timing on the actual warrant being published?
Well, when the budget is completed, then I will put the warrant together, and then the select board will sign the warrant for it to get posted. I don't have a date because we're not finalizing the budget yet.
Right.
I want to say it's going to be sometime mid-March, end of March.
Yeah, at the latest
Because
early April.
because once I go to print for the town report, because the warrant has to be in there, they need at least 2 to 3 weeks.
So you'll have another select board meeting before it goes
Yes.
to press. My question is relative to, would there be options possible to suggest options for what the library receives, or some other ways to?
At town meeting,
Address
you
that.
can always ask at town meeting to have the budget lowered. The way we write our articles, you cannot raise them, but you can lower them.
Well, I'm just thinking in terms of another option that would provide the town to vote for option A or option B. Is that possible to get that wording into the warrant?
My opinion would be that the article has been the same every year, so David's right. At town meeting, you're allowed to get out and say, I move to amend the article to fund, $200 because of this. And then you either get the support of the people or you won't.
Right.
So asking the select board to put, and David, don't, you cut me off if I'm wrong, but putting in competing articles
Right.
in the warrant, I would suspect that the majority of the board would want some support for that, which would require, a whole bunch of work. You know what I mean? Petitions and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
In other words, we can't, am I wrong about this?
Well, it is our job and our purview to put the warrant together.
Right.
So normally we do that. We always listen to anything anybody has to say to us, but historically, what we've always done is put whatever the library has asked for in there. And then it's up to the people at the town meeting to decide whether or not they want to support that. I have on some years opposed it, and I've never been successful. So and I probably never will be. But it is, I would feel odd to not let them ask for what they want to ask for. The people at the town meeting have the right to stand up and say, we don't want to spend that.
Yeah, my thought is if they had options that they could see in the warrant to read ahead of time, that they would have some
Well,
idea as to which one they prefer.
The way the library operates, there is no option. If you don't pay what they ask, we don't go.
Okay, so
Well, then that is the option.
that, if that's the only option that they provide, then,
Years ago, they were in the donation section of the warrant,
right,
and when they informed us that we either pay for what they ask, or we get kicked out, or however you want to say that more politely, that's when I convinced the board at that time, of which the only person still on the board that was there at that time was Dale. I convinced him at that time to move it out of donations and into general government. Because in my opinion, when somebody says you either pay what I'm asking or you don't get the service, that's not a donation, that's a demand.
well, that, if it goes to the demand aspect, I like the idea of the library and what it provides, and I'd like to see that continued. But the fact that we don't have any control over their budget or say in that budget, that's kind of a black hole. That why would we throw money into something we can't control or have a say in how the budget's spent?
And only a third of our population is utilizing the library. So we're paying almost $70 a head
Yep.
for the 1,000 people that are or under 1,000 people that
It's
are
closer
using
to
the library.
24%.
Pardon me?
It's closer to 24%.
What?
The number of people.
Okay.
We do have quite a bit of agency over the budget, though. I'm in fact the chair of the library's finance committee, so I'm directly involved in building the budget every year. So,
Okay.
and Allison is also a trustee,
Yeah, I know, I saw that.
and we have, like four
There's one.
or five trustees that are Woolwich residents.
Yeah.
So we have plenty of, plenty of input, I think, to
So if we look over the budget and disagree with that, and we only have a choice of accepting or rejecting it, then that'll be the option that we have at town meeting. Is that what you're saying?
That's correct.
Okay.
We're lowering it, right?
I would think.
they lowered it.
But lowering it
But they have said.
lower it, then it's a binary choice.
If we lower it, then we won't be a part of participating anymore. So I'd like to have an option to participate in some fashion, but if they don't give us that option, then we have one choice.
Were your budget meetings open to the public? I mean, the library, when you formulate your budget,
Meetings are all open.
they're all open to the public, yeah. I mean, you gotta remember, Tom, it's difficult because I'm just gonna speak for myself, whether you're for the library or against the library, it's never even been close. In all these years, it's always.
I remember we had a a written ballot, and
Yeah.
it was 2-1.
Yeah, right, it went up.
Yeah.
The support went higher.
Yeah.
So it's never even been close. So I'm just gonna speak for myself, but, so whether you're for or against, our job is to present these things to the folks. So, in all these years, it's always been very well supported. It hasn't even been close. It isn't like we walk out of the room and say, boy, it only passed by 5 votes. That's a sign there, you know? And so I never feel comfortable as a selectman being asked to do something, and it's go to town meeting, speak your mind, vote it up, vote it down, make your case, whatever. And it is what it is. Now, as far as the budget, if they want to get you a copy, which I guess if you.
Yeah, I don't know, we have paper copies, we didn't get an emailed copy.
No, but it's not a draft, it's done, right?
Right. But
I received an email. I mean, what she gave us the other day was all paper, but I received an email.
You gotta
Can you send it, if you, or you send it to me, I can send it to Michelle, or you could send it.
So real quick clarification, because I know some of you folks come to the budget thing, so.
Can we post it on the website?
I don't know what you have, but your budget is not a draft, it's done.
Yeah,
So when you come to our budget meetings like the other day, we're still in draft stages. So if you say, oh, I want to see what the fire chief's presenting, we just received it, we digest
right,
it.
so we could, we'll send you a.
But theirs, I guess, because they obviously presented it to us, so it's done.
If it's available, we can get a copy,
Yeah.
that'd be good.
Yep, I will do that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Can you
no,
do that, Kim, or you want?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
I was helping somebody else with their budget, so I couldn't make it to this budget meeting, so, but I appreciate you taking the time to address it.
All right, to move on, is there anything else?
I filled out the form there to
present something, but I didn't see it on the thing, so I only filled it out last week, so. I'd like to see if we could do, Woodbridge Road one way, going from, Old Arrowsick up.
Did you respond to him?
Yes, I did. Who are you?
Jonathan Williams.
I emailed you, I think, 2 days ago with the select board's comments on your proposal. Did you not receive it?
What's your name?
Thomas Davis?
Okay, I have to look again, so.
Okay, but we did discuss that, at the last budget meeting, and what we came up with sort of as the process to go through to do that would be, we would have to have a survey of all of the people that live on the affected roads.
Okay.
And basically pretty much every, we need to know yes or no from everybody, like, is this okay with you or not, or whatever.
Is there interest, right?
Yeah, because we need to make sure that the majority of the people on all, this is like Cedar and Reed and,
Old Rousehead.
Older House.
And Woodbridge and Bayfield.
And Bayfield, yeah.
Agreed.
Because it's narrow, as you know.
Well, Bayfield doesn't count, they don't count, they're not even a part
When
of
was
us.
it? One
It
way?
was.
What's that?
She's saying that.
It was when my children were young, so
It was, really.
I want to say 30 years ago. But it was a bus thing and safety with children getting off the bus at the end of, it was Sassanova Bluff Road at that time.
Yeah.
So and it was only certain hours of the day. It was like, no,
Just a
really,
good
truly.
reason.
You could 7 to 9 and then
2 to
2 to 4 or something like that.
No, that would work.
Wow.
It was,
Do you remember that?
basically.
No, I don't remember that. I don't know if my father remembers that, but I mean, I'm not disputing it, but yeah, that would be.
Wow, that
that's-
would be a little challenging.
Yeah, that road is definitely dangerous.
It's,
So who would do the
it's,
survey?
you can't get
You
2
do it
cars
with-
past each other on that
Yeah,
road.
so what we look for though is support though, support that which way is the right way to be one way, we need to know, we do this with all the other things in town, we need to know what everybody
Is there more
thinks.
than just, 3 people that
Yeah,
want
there's
that?
only one way, the right way to go would be up past, from the Rousehead up Woodbridge, so that people can go down around and get up on the bridge again.
Right, no, I think that the question would be one way or keep it the way it is. which-
Who would do the survey?
Well, what I was.
We actually ask the folks that are presenting it to do that.
Okay.
In other words, when somebody walks in today and says, we want 14 trees planted on this street, it's like, oh, wow. One person, so you gotta go and do a bunch of, show support, yes or no.
Right, yeah.
You do a survey of all those folks that have homes, and if they're, voters.
So that would be just our area?
Well, no, I think you need to,
I would
you
do
need to do all the roads, so
All the roads
Reed
that-
Road, Old Road, everybody that would be affected by it.
Okay, okay.
And go to Dairy Queen, go to Morrison Oak.
Well, that's true, also the businesses.
Yeah, and the gas station, actually.
And on the safety issue of this is, my house sits right on the road.
Yes, it does.
From the end of the pavement to my house, to my step is 8 feet 2 inches.
Yeah.
Yep,
The other day, a box truck went down. Had I opened my door, I could have hit the box truck.
yeah.
Wow.
I can't tell you the times people have come onto where we could park the cars.
Yeah.
Occasionally, I've got spots enough for 2 vehicles.
Huh,
Yeah.
wow.
There's
It's not
times
wide enough
cars
for a
have
lot
to
of
park
places.
right there,
We
and
can-
people's trying to get right by.
Yeah.
And we have kids in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
I come off, I'm Tom McCusker, I'm the first one off of 127
Yeah.
down Woodbridge Road. And they come off of Route 127, 45 miles an hour, down the Woodbridge Road, just to make a shortcut to the Quick Mart,
Yeah.
up the alley beside Morrison
Which is a
Oak.
one-way street.
Right. And that's one way the wrong way, they're not supposed to go up, they're supposed to go down.
But they do.
And DIW workers will do the same thing. If it's backed up on Route 1, they'll fly down the road.
Yeah.
And then when you try to get out on.
Oh, yeah, they go right up, they shoot right up Old Rousehead.
I literally come out the door and I tell people to slow down just to hear FU and all this.
Yeah.
Because the speed limit is 15 miles an hour on that road.
Yeah, yeah.
They're doing 40, 45 miles an hour.
And they won't pull over,
They won't.
you're in that narrow stretch.
Yeah.
I pull over as far as I can, and, I mean,
Not everybody
No, no.
realizes the whole width of that road. I mean, you got 14 feet width
Well, probably it's not much more than that.
What percentage of the neighborhood
You're always gonna take a
has
little
to
more
agree?
on which that is.
Well, it's more than anything, the select board likes to look for support one way or the other. So when you survey all the affected parties, right? So for instance, Phil, to get home, you're gonna go down Route 1, turn on Cedar Street, right? And come back around. You're not gonna be able to go in there anymore. Is that correct?
Cedar Street?
No, I can go right down by Morse and Dope, and technically, that's not a city road.
You can, but is Morse and Doak want you to go through their yard to get to that street?
Oh, I'll go right, I can go right
Post
to,
office
I can go right to the post office, that doesn't bother me one bit.
Oh, okay, but what I'm saying is, so those, Tom and you can't go in anywhere without going around though, right?
Right.
So be it.
So then.
But we're willing to do that.
No, I'm not disputing that, but folks in Bayfield, right? So in Bayfield, if they're coming from Bath, they turn in and go down by your house and take a right at your stop sign, and then turn into the development, right? So now they're gonna be asked to go down to Cedar Street, and I'm not saying I'm against it, or I'm just saying, you need to,
But also the people on Cedar Street may not want all the extra traffic.
Well-
So, I mean, you're moving their problem down to the next street.
So that's a wider street too.
It's a different, they got more,
Yeah.
the houses are sitting on the road, mine's the only house sitting on that road.
I would suspect what would happen here is you folks somebody would get together and go door to door on a Saturday or Sunday or whatever, and get everybody to sign yes or no, figure it out. And then the select board and the road commissioner and the fire chief and everybody would discuss it, and then if this is going forward, I would suspect we'd have a public
I
hearing.
would
Public
want to do
hearing.
that.
We would have to have a public hearing because it's a,
Right.
Traffic change, you know?
They could,
And then we would vote on it at a town meeting, we vote,
Right.
make a vote.
yeah, and we check with the town attorney, we just have to do everything the right, I don't think we've
What we'll
ever.
do is we'll get our neighborhood watch association together, because pretty much everybody will be in agreement.
Yeah.
We've almost all had
Yeah.
head-on collisions there.
Yeah.
Or my dogs got run over, your grandson getting run over.
Yeah,
And
both
we need
couple
a,
times.
we need a
what's the
solution.
speed, is there a posted speed
Yeah,
limit?
so
on the road?
it's 15.
They don't
When
listen.
Jack
There's no
Shaw
speed limit
posted
sign
it.
on the road?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, there's two of them, one on
There's
each
two
end
of
of
them.
the road, and nobody pays, I mean, the neighborhood pays attention to it.
Just like they don't pay attention to dead ends.
Why can't you just?
Yeah.
Speed bumps are another whole
The
story.
other, that's the next one I'm gonna address, I'd like to have speed bumps
No,
on
and we saw,
Woodbridge Road.
right, we saw that in the request, and the road commissioner's right over there, right? And so speed,
bumps.
yeah, speed bumps,
automatic ones for the middle roads.
speed bumps
I can
are,
make some more on that road if you'd like.
speed bumps are a tricky thing, and they're again,
You're not allowed to.
yeah, right. So if you go to Main Street in Brunswick, they have speed humps or speed,
Tables, speed tables.
speed tables, all these different
That's
terms.
the only thing you can do now.
I'll take it.
You can't make a
So
vote.
there's gonna be a bunch to get through to figure
Yeah,
all
but they're
that out.
gonna wanna do much more than 15 miles an hour without damage.
Well, if it turns into a one-way, then a speed bump would be a moot point.
Well, no, they can still can speed.
They still can
They
speed, but
could. The other one's gonna do the majority damage to
with
the
those
vehicle.
retractable, spikes.
I want some,
Oh.
that's exactly what I want, spikes.
Oh, I would be willing to just operate them.
So would
Push
I.
the
Yeah, I'll
button.
sit there on my front porch and I'll push that
Now, if you
button.
get any flat tires on that road here about it, we didn't say anything.
All right, so,
Anyways, check your email, and you'll have an email from Tom that lays out everything that we need you to do.
Okay.
it's what we just talked about, and he sent it to you. It'll take some time, but it didn't happen overnight.
Let's share that information with us.
Okay, anything further from the public? Okay, we'll move on then.
Thank you.
Town administrator.
Oh, okay. So, I met with an MMA rep today. And we went over, and you guys have one in your folders.
Yeah.
So we went over insurance, and answered your question, Sean, so I'll get with you on that, about the values of things and ways we can reduce it. But I also had received an email, and then Marcus reiterated on this. So this is a workers' compensation safety incentive program. And if we sign up for this, and follow the guidelines of what they have, where did I put mine? I lost mine. Here we are. So if we do tier 1, we can get up between, tier 1 is 5%, tier 2 is 7.5, and tier 3 is 10% off our workman's comp claims. So, or not our claims, but what we owe. So we just have,
This has nothing to do with that, was it called Safety
Safety
First?
Works?
Or
No.
Safety Works, this is a completely
no,
different.
this is something completely through MMA, through workers' comp. So, it's a program and all we have to do is just have some policies in place, which I know probably both fire and EMS have some of those already. So if we could just get, an accident review policy, lift a back policy, slip and trip and fall policy, which I seem to be doing very well at.
No flip-flops in the office.
I got a question real quick.
Yes.
You said if we do tier 1.
Yes.
Okay, what if we do 2 and 3?
If we do all three, obviously if you do 1, you have to do 1 to get 2 and 3.
Right, so.
Yep.
So if we get up to tier 3, we get 10% off of our workman's comp.
Okay.
So it appears, and Sean and Danny, it appears tier 1 we already do.
Right, yes.
I mean, when I look at tier 1 real quick, it seems like we know that's easy. Some of these other things, like, do we have a slip and fall safety policy?
That's probably just for the building, right?
Yes, it would be all the
So
departments.
there would need to be just a written policy for the building, all the departments for these
Yeah,
things.
so there's a resolution that has to be signed by the select board that just says we, as the member, of Woolwich, the members of the Maine Municipal Association, we're following the guidelines and having these policies in place.
10% savings.
And 10% will save us almost $6,000.
Right.
Wow.
So that's a lot.
I think we ought to go for road dealers.
Yes, so I thought that was something that we should start really looking into. And then I wanted to say thank you to David, Jason, and Dale for coming out last week when we had the flood in the basement and shoveling all the snow.
Did it
And-
work? Is that
Well,
what?
that day
To
it
a
worked.
point it did. And also to Nick, who was downstairs running the shop vac for hours because it was just pouring in underneath the door frame. So hopefully we'll get that corrected sooner than later. And last thing I have is I signed up through Maine DOT, and I don't know if you got this or not, Jack. So hopefully it's a speed trailer loan program.
Yeah.
So I put us in that we can borrow this for 2 weeks, from April to November. And you guys can designate where you want to put
So
it.
this is in addition to the ones?
Yeah, we've done it in the past, as you know, and
Yeah,
you go to the
so
community.
I submitted it today. I don't
Sounds
know
like
if
a
you
couple
guys
of
had
days
already
of
done it,
Woodbridge
but I thought that was,
Road
we can put it on Woodbridge.
Right in the middle of the road.
Yeah, so
Does
I
it
just thought that
record
was a
speed?
nice,
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Does it record speed?
I think this one does. What we've done in the
Yes.
past is gone to the town that has it last, and maybe anywhere.
You do, yeah.
Pick it up.
Yeah, I do have a tow hitch on my car.
It's one of those signs on a trailer that tells you.
Kim's gonna tow it.
That's all I have.
That's it?
That's all I have.
Anybody have any questions for Tim before we move on?
When does this have to be done for us to benefit?
So the acknowledgement has to be done, it's a ways away. So the acknowledgement needs to be received by April 1st. The resolution must be received by August 1st, and the tier verification must be done by September. So we have some time to get it taken care of.
To have a wellness program.
Yeah, I don't know, that's gonna be the challenge, the wellness program.
What do you do, slip and fall policy, don't fall down?
Don't fall again.
I know,
Don't
it's
slip,
what's
don't fall.
Put up signs
I
for
would
wet
stop
floors,
thinking about it. What
don't leave your
policy
drawer
say?
open by your
Yeah.
desk.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move on to the road commissioner's report. And Jack, I want to congratulate you on working with Central Maine Power. They're going to be hauling some really heavy equipment up over the mountain road to get to their project up there. And Jack is concerned about the condition of the road and what the condition of the road will be when they're done. So he negotiated with them, they're gonna pay us $300,000 for the use of the road.
The basic hauling is done. Where this comes in, this is the 345 line. Now they have to run the wire. So I was told that the graveling and all that part is done. The heavy equipment is basically done. But they're going to exceed our limit, but not by huge loads. But this is gonna start like in a week and a half or 2 weeks, and it has to continue. So to assure them that we will allow them to continue, I made this agreement with them in good faith. They have that copy. We're all signed, sealed, and good. And I'm quite pleased with it. It's gonna be beneficial to them.
This is not the first time that Jackson got one of these. The people that are building the big solar array over here on the McWasset Road, Jack got $85,000 out of them for the use of the road for the same reason. Because they're gonna be running some really heavy equipment up and down the road. So it's nice to know that we're, if they stave the road up, we're gonna have the money to fix it.
I don't really think you're gonna find any, I don't expect there'll be any harm. They're gonna be very careful, and they'll be very cautious with the traffic and school buses and so on. They've been very pleasant to deal with. So I don't expect us to have a problem with them, and I have good contact if we have an issue. Secondly, you probably all know now that we posted for the spring thaw and so on, along with Wisconsin. So that's all that thing going. Do you have anything, Kim?
I do not.
Anybody on the board have any questions?
Bump sign, Woolwich, each end.
What?
No, all the roads are bumpy.
Not that middle.
All right, thanks, Jack. Codes officer, he's not here tonight, but he did submit a report. One building permit for residential solar. He's updated a number of permit applications to make them more up to date, more specific information and detail while staying within our current ordinances. He's developed a site plan and subdivision application. He sent it to the planning board for review. So far, the response has been positive.
They're meeting what, next week?
Yeah, this coming Monday.
EMS, Dan.
Okay, we responded to 26 calls in February with 26 patients. 20 were transported. We called for MC1 3 times for that. And we provided mutual aid to Wiscasset, once to Westport Island. Vehicles, I got quotes for summer tires we need 8. For the rescues, 6 on rescue 2, 2 on rescue 1, or the other way around. I called around, thanks to Jason for giving me some hints, and most places were 200 to 220 per tire. I called Maine Commercial. They can give us a government rate of $127.58 each, so that's a good discount. And so to buy them would be a little over $1,000, $1,080 or something like that. And then if we have them mount them on the wheels and everything and balance them, it will be another like $400. But we can do that locally, that part. But, so the tires are a good chunk cheaper than I thought they'd be. So that's a good thing. I still have plenty of money in my vehicle maintenance fund for that. So I'd like to order those this week if that's okay. So.
Should we approve the
Fine with us.
$1,000?
By consensus, anybody have a problem with getting the tire? Get them.
Thank you. I placed.
Do you have spare rims?
But we don't have spare the wheels. Oh, we have set on our winter and a set on our summer, so we can just swap out the summer ones and take them up there. So we don't have a third extra set spare, and I was planning on keeping 1 or 2 of the tires as spares just in case the ones that are slightly better shape, just so we have in case something happens. I placed an order for an AED. The select board approved that. I didn't go with the life pack that we have downstairs because the price of those has gone up to $22.50. So the total price was $1,347 with the cabinets, with first aid stuff, with the signage, everything. That should be here Friday. It shipped today. So I did place that order, and it's on its way. So we'll have to, with the town hall staff and select board and whoever else wants, we'll have to have a training, CPR training and AED training, and so
we're gonna decide where we're gonna mount it.
So where to put it, yeah.
we're gonna mount it.
Oh,
The
that's
box-
what you said, who's gonna be
It's like
the?
4
The bad.
I looked at a couple of places down there, and we'll hold it up in place to see what works best. It needs to be in a public area, not
Right,
Yeah, I know.
maybe under that monitor or in the hall towards the bathroom. But yeah, we'll decide where to mount it. And then I'll do a training for everyone and bring in a couple of my staff. And we already have the training dummies and the trainers, so that won't cost us anything. Unless, if you want AHA cards, like official cards, then it will cost $20 each person for that. But just to do a community training, it won't cost you
Wow,
anything.
thank you.
We'll donate the time, so.
Thank you very much.
And that's it.
Anybody have any questions for me? If not, we'll move on.
Thank you.
Fire Chief, Sean.
Too busy, we had 2 fire calls since the last meeting. The compressor's all installed. The installer came last Thursday night, we did 2 rounds of training with it. Got all the staff that's gonna be operating it through training with it. At that time, he took the air quality test and that's been sent out, so we're waiting on the air quality test. Should be by Friday and we should have that, and then it will be fully operational, so that is an excellent step for us downstairs. Engine 3 is still in the shop. I'm thinking another couple weeks over there to Auburn. And Forestry 7 is going to go in next week for some maintenance before spring wildfire season starts. So that's all I got.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You ordered a roof hook, fiberglass roof hook.
Yeah, the shipping costs more than the hook.
Yeah, why?
Because it's 10 feet long. They had to come on a box truck. Yeah, it's silly. It's silly.
Well, we saw it, we were like, oh, it costs
Well,
more
I was
shipping.
trying to figure why
It's 10 feet.
the shipping was twice what the item cost.
I know, it's ridiculous. But that's actually better than one of the suppliers I usually get stuff from was $450 to deliver it. I said, I'll go get it for that.
450.
$450. The item was what, 180 or something?
Yeah.
So,
Oh, you want this?
but yeah, that's why, it's because it's 10 feet long, so it's replacing one that's, we had to take it out of service because it was too much of an issue.
So good news, we looked over everything. Obviously, the electrical was a few $100 less.
Yeah.
They discounted the installation or whatever the.
Yeah.
It's, looks like there's still like a $1,700 difference, right?
Yep.
We did notice you have ads up for the.
Yeah, it's all posted, and I was gonna get with Kim this week and see if we can get that on the town website or.
Yeah.
What's happening to the old one?
Huh? Yeah, it's all listed, yeah.
Yeah, no.
Are you gonna put it on the town website?
Wherever we can put it, I think.
Yeah.
Facebook, website, I would,
You know, MMA.
Yeah, MMA, yeah, MMA.
Get it sold, get some money, yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
Any nibbles from the?
nothing yet, no.
Put it on state surplus too.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
All right, let's move on. Old business, solar array buyout. Tom, you want to give us a quick run through on the data here?
Okay, well, so it turns out I'll just talk about my handout here. So I went through all of the bills for the last fiscal year just to see what the current amount of electricity we're using and the current amount we're generating. And so for the fiscal year of ending June 24, we used 40,000 kilowatt hours and generated about 29,000 kilowatt hours. So now we had some bad months on that year. I guess it was a lot of snow or a lot of cloudy days or whatever. But anyway.
I'm looking at January.
So that's, it's just north of 70% of the power that the town uses, we were generating on the solar farm. On the other side, you'll see the savings that we're going to realize. So our electric bill per kilowatt hour got escalated from 11 cents to 22 cents was it 14?
It was 14.
14 to 22 cents.
Yeah, it's 14.
Yeah,
Last
14.61.
January, which that was technically the beginning of year 8. Well, year 7. That was the beginning of year 7. So we really should have bought them last year so that we didn't subject ourselves to that huge rate increase. But
We didn't have the money last year.
yeah.
But the flip side is the cost goes down.
Right. So as you know, the way that this whole deal works, we're basically buying back from Greenvolt the energy that the solar farm generated. That was the contract we signed with them 8 years ago, whatever. So now when we buy it back, we will no longer have to pay Greenvolt, and we will just enjoy the benefit of that power free of charge, essentially. So,
We still have to pay the delivery fee, but.
Still have to pay the
we won't
delivery
for
fee.
Electricity itself.
so you'll see that on this workup that I did, that we'll begin saving several $1,000s a year on electrical expenses. Even considering the cost to do the maintenance and the replacement of the inverters every 10, in fact, 15 years or whatever it said.
This is great, Tommy.
So after, so 10 years from now, we'll have saved like 30 grand on electrical.
So what is the current buyout number?
Current buyout is $45,977.
Okay.
That's for year 8. And we currently have $50,532.12 in there, in the account.
So we wouldn't have
I think
had,
we ought to drop the hammer and do it.
yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, so
Here's what it is, I would
get
move,
the paperwork.
Yep.
well, I know we already got authority, but I would move that we,
Yeah, well, you can make a motion if you want, but we actually got permission to do this 7 years ago.
we did, but if you look at the article, it says to do, yeah, right.
Yeah, okay.
I'm
so
sorry,
make a motion.
45 what?
It's 45,977.
45,977.
Yeah.
And then we can use the balance of what we have to pay for the maintenance.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Or to cover their overage of power this year, which is
Up to 46,000.
it's gonna be several $1,000s over budget.
Yes.
Go to
Which-
46.5.
Because when we looked at it, what was it, April, May, June was paid in July.
Yeah.
So that was like $2,300.
28.
So I think we can go to the auditors, because I think we had extra in utility last year, so I think we can get that corrected.
All right, well, why don't we just do this? I would move that we spend up to 46,500, just because of any nickels and
The end of
dimes.
year 7 should have been the end of 2024. According to my fingers.
I know, we've done,
Well, they're calling year 1.
as one,
The
as
day,
day one.
the day
The
that you
day,
start,
yep, was
is-
year 1.
you're in year 1.
Yep,
Okay.
So
It's
no
not year zero.
birthdays or, yeah, not.
because I reached out and I sent the email that
Yeah.
that Lucas replied to me, and I went, okay.
Okay, we can beat this to death all night.
Okay, yeah,
But
yeah,
the
let's do
bottom
it.
line is that the people 7 years ago told us to pay for them for
Yep.
collect the money for 7 years and then buy them, so let's buy them.
Yep.
So 46,500 you
Up
said?
to, up to $46,500.
Is there a second to that?
Yep.
Okay, those in favor? Okay. Yeah, get the
Alright.
ball rolling.
Gotcha.
Please.
So is there some way, I mean, it should be more than 71%. I mean, I'm just wondering if we're using more electricity.
We are,
Yeah.
we
I was
are.
gonna say,
We're using quite a lot.
We just
more.
installed the 3-phase air compressor.
Yeah, which is not exactly.
7 years ago, we didn't have an EMS department.
Didn't have two,
Like
yeah.
it is today, we didn't have
Not
people
using
staying
that
there
much.
overnight. And, every time they walk in there, every light in that bay lights up
Yeah.
as soon as you walk in, so.
We have swapped out,
We do use a lot more
We have
electricity
swapped
now
out
than
to
we did.
LED.
we have swapped out 2 LEDs and maybe we
Over
should
time, that would,
continue
Well-
that conversation of switching these bulbs.
Well, and remember too, that, after COVID, we have this air exchange stuff running all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
Yeah.
I know it
Yeah.
is what it is, but there are,
We got the thing down in the basement that runs 24/7 there for,
Yeah. But it would be
radon
good to
gas.
sort of
I
maybe
mean, there's,
keep.
we do use a lot more
Yeah.
electricity now.
we don't know what
than we did
Debbie's
7
doing
years
over at the
ago.
meeting house.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna go back 4 years, but it's a real, it's kind of
We saw Christmas lights.
a project to go through that paper, all that paper
All that
stuff.
dance music.
I don't mind doing that.
We're gonna move on.
Thanks, Dave.
And now we go, so
Heat pump.
kind of set up.
Yes, so,
What is the bad news on the heat pump now?
well, the repairs that we have spent $1,000 on did not work. So they replaced the control plant panel, they replaced the, brains of the operation, and apparently that doesn't work. So they reached out to the company Fujitsu, and they said they had no idea what the codes that it was throwing. So in order to we're gonna have to get a new heat pump, but the good thing is we don't have to get the monitor things.
Right.
So the quote she gave me with labor and materials is $3,244. If we do the upgrade, is a cold climate heat pump, which will heat more effectively in extreme cold weather, which is another $1,500.
Whoa.
So it's up to you. And yes, I did look into the rebates for Efficiency Maine because they are dual units. One is downstairs, they do not qualify.
Oh,
So that's
And a
unfortunate.
point to make is these are replacing the original units.
Correct.
The original unit that was put in, we've already done one.
Should we get?
We've done one, yes.
No.
I'm sorry.
Not do any better.
He asked me if we should get more than one price, and I just, me personally, no. We went through this before.
We did this before.
And we also
And it was
rely
doubled.
on Midcoast Energy to come, and then I recall, Kim, they gave you, didn't they discount some of their,
They discounted some of the labor,
for what they did that
what
they
they
couldn't
did, they
fix?
didn't fix it, so.
We've never, every time we've
So I don't know, wanna look at that.
before, nobody's beat their price.
Well, they show up. Show up, they got
Okay,
ready.
there's the quote right there, David.
I think in the long run would be smart to go with the upgraded one and get, because they are, the new cold climate ones are so much more efficient than the older ones, and these
Even
have
though
been here long enough that they're not the
climate's
cold
warming.
climate one.
If you remember, the last one was over $6,000,
Yes,
and that did the downstairs, yeah, the replacement.
but they replaced the
That was
two,
both the inside and outside piece.
Yeah, but they,
yes, because they
yeah,
replaced two of the,
those things.
things downstairs. We don't need those. The new unit is compatible with the one in that room in my office.
What would it cost to get one that that automatically zapped every mouse that climbed inside?
Right?
So that's just.
Well, that's why we're doing this, because the mice got in there and chewed all the.
No, they did not get into this one.
They didn't.
Not
get
that
into
one,
this?
no.
Oh, it was the other one they got.
It was the other one they did. This one, there wasn't. It was just probably just
So
an
this is
old
the older of
unit.
the two then?
Yep,
Okay.
So that's fixing the one up in
I
there.
still think we ought
that's gonna
to,
fix
I
that
still
one
think we ought to
there.
go
So
with
we have to spend the
upgrade.
night there again. It'll be a little
A
warmer.
little warmer.
Well, this would probably be directed at Kim, because she would know. Just because they're swapping out the units, do they come with a warranty?
They should come with a warranty.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
But I didn't know if that's because you were swapping it out and not doing the new compressor.
So real quick history, when the addition was built on, and the building never had any AC or anything, and so the company that did that was all part of this whole big package of the addition. I personally think Midcoast treats us very well, and they're very responsive, and they are good to work with, and so we've had good luck with them, so we're looking at like $47.50 if I did the math right.
Yeah.
And you gotta also remember that the building here was built by the lowest bidder, so.
Yeah.
And that included the heat, so.
Right, I'll just make sure that because you're not buying the full
Right.
unit,
Right.
that the wall unit is gonna actually be warranted,
Right.
so, that's all.
So they've always given us a warranty on everything.
I would move that we authorize that, the total of that up to
For
$47.50.
the cold
Okay.
weather
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Okay, those in
Second.
favor? Okay, do it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Money.
New
Takes
business,
a while to get started, right?
Peter Miller. Hi, hello. We're just curious about what you've got going, Peter.
Sure. You want me to kind of start from the beginning about history?
Yeah, just I did reach out to the code officer, I'm Jason Shaw, on the select board here, I reached out to the code officer, did see all and Debbie's here, she's the secretary of the planning board, saw all the approvals, it looks like he indicated that he was satisfied with everything, there was septic questions, there was home occupation permission, approval that you received, right?
Yeah.
It appears that it's what you presented at that time, right?
Exactly.
You're gonna use a couple of bedrooms maybe or something
Right.
of the home for guests, and then you're gonna do this cider.
So we started, we're making hard cider now, and we're licensed to do that.
Yeah.
Both the federal and Maine, in the basement of our garage, and then we just built a new small detached building on our property too. We're actually gonna move the equipment in there. But the plan all along was to do some really small, like agritourism kinds of things, like maybe a couple classes in the fall when we're picking and things like that. And use a couple of our rooms in the house as bedrooms for guests during that. But this started 3 years ago as we started to evolve the business. Right now, all we're doing is selling farmers markets. We don't have a tasting room or anything like that. Don't intend on doing that. We discovered that one thing we could do was to go to festivals to serve our cider. But when I went to the state to find out how I do that, can I do that under my existing license? They said, no, you need a catering license. But since you are going to use a couple rooms of your house for a guest, get a B&B license, and you're allowed to get a catering license under that B&B license. So that's what I did. That's why we applied for that this year, and they did all their inspections and everything. The point is, we don't actually intend on selling the cider in the B&B. We're only doing it because I get the license, so I get the catering license so that we can do these festivals.
Oh, dear.
And that's, yeah,
Yeah.
it's unfortunate, it's a,
Arrangement.
Well, I noticed in reviewing all the information from the planning board, it looked like that was what you'd stated, that you weren't intending on selling it on premises.
right.
And so that's where the confusion
That, yeah,
with the select board at the last meeting or whenever we saw this, it's like, I don't understand, but you've explained that.
yeah,
And is the B&B license a state license?
yes,
Huh.
yeah. We just,
Oh, yeah.
and I only got one room license, it's just kind of less red tape,
Yeah.
less fees. But as I said, we're probably, we don't even plan on having any guests anytime soon.
Yeah.
It's just jumping through the hoops they make you jump through to get the various licenses.
Sounds like a typical state arrangement.
Yeah.
So you decided not to do the tastings?
Well, we were never planning on doing them, sort of full-time, just maybe during these occasional events that we have, which we haven't had one yet in 3 years. I mean, eventually we will. We're really small. I planted about 500 apple trees. So we're not, 3 years, we started 3 years ago, so we're not even making that much cider that we can have real events yet, but in a few years we will. But the whole idea, quite frankly, of these, going to these festivals is just its marketing, basically, to get our name out there.
So what do we need?
I would move that we approve the liquor,
With the liquor license?
Is that what we're actually, is
I
that
think
what
that's what we
we?
need to do.
Yeah, it needs to be
It needs to be approved by the municipal officers. I would move that we approve that.
Second.
Should we waive a public hearing first?
Oh,
I would move that we waive a public hearing and then approve the liquor.
Okay. All right, is there a second to both those motions?
Yes.
Okay, those in favor?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That was easier than the state.
We just need to do.
We hope so.
That need to be signed.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. We weren't.
No, it was electronic, so it only needed my signature. There's nothing for,
Okay, so you
so,
can.
yeah, I'll just,
All right, we authorized
Forward
to
it.
do that, yeah.
All right.
We just needed a little time to do some due diligence to
Yeah.
see whether the plan, I mean,
Sure.
it's been some time since you got approval and we wanted to make sure we.
So can we find the product at the Bath Farmers Market?
Not Bath, Booth Bay, and Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, wow.
Wisconsin for Friday market?
So Debbie, I have copies of all your minutes regarding to this. And Mike sent everything. I mean, if anybody wants to see it, but it was pretty outlined, no opposition. It was very detailed, and then you've been working with Mike on the other requirements that the state needs. So.
We appreciate you coming in.
Yeah.
Well,
Did you
want me
bring
to leave?
any?
Can I hang up?
you can hang out.
Did you bring any samples?
Easy, we're on TV. We are
I
on
already gave you some samples when you
I
visited.
know, and she
Oh.
can share.
Allison, we're on
I know.
TV. State Representative Hepburn, one more time.
Not sharing, not sharing.
Okay, moving on, foreclosed properties. What are
Yes,
doing
we have
with
two foreclosed properties. One of them, he is making payments. He hadn't made payments in quite some time. He was in on Friday, and he only owes like $100 and some odd dollars to pay for the 2023, but he still owes for 2 years. I don't know if we can, what the board wants to do, if they want to get together and set up some kind of payment plan with them. The other one, I reached out to the new owner. The original owner, she's the personal representative, and she does not want the property any longer. And that is the Paul Larkin property, where that is a very hot, wanted property. So I need to know what the board wants to do, because now the new statute is in effect of how we need to proceed to do that. And that means that we have to put something in the paper at least 90 days before listing the property, to see if anybody from the, who's listed, like in the will or whatever, comes forward. If not, then we have to hire a real estate broker and have it listed, and then we do all the work. The personal representative gets all the money, And we do get refunded everything, you know, the taxes and everything that we have spent for advertising, but
not your time.
not the time.
Not the
So,
time and effort, no.
do you want to, it depends on what you want to do for the one parcel, which is on Hall Road. If,
Yeah, it looks like you
you
have
know,
two couple
The
different.
one that the gentleman is making, or the person.
so set up something with him,
is paying something,
yeah, just send him a letter and see if he wants to get in, you know,
I
make
think
monthly
we should have-
payments.
I think we should have a meeting with them, before we do anything on that one.
Okay.
We cannot though set up a payment plan,
No.
or an official
Well,
plan,
right,
payment
officially.
We
plan.
can suggest it, we can suggest
We
that.
can suggest it, but if you remember, the state said that we couldn't do payment plans
Right.
because then we are acting as a bank.
Yeah.
And we are not licensed to act as a
It would
bank.
appear that with that situation, we should try to work with that.
I think we should try to.
This
work that.
one, I can send a letter out from the select board to the personal representative, but she has already made it clear to me that she does not want to deal with this property any longer.
Can I ask what the,
What is the property?
It's 141 Meadow Road.
can I ask what the total amount of money is?
Yep, right
Metal,
down
oh, that's the
that.
one with the trees on it.
Yeah,
That's the one that the kids have
so
analyzed and it has a tree laying on top of it.
total amount that
Meadow
is
Road, yeah. Got a nice
due,
little Jeep there, like.
yeah. So for the 3 years, 23, 24, and 25, $3,200, $3,282.71.
Does it say how big it is? Do you know how big it is? Yeah, I was just curious to
It can't be more than a 2-bedroom house.
I did not print that information
No, no, it's all
on
right. I just
here.
always wondered
It is, the land is valued at 43,000, the building is at 29.
Yeah.
There is no exemptions on it, because
Might have been
obviously there's
29 a while
nobody
ago,
living
but
there.
it isn't now.
Yeah,
I guess I'm just always surprised that these folks don't just wanna list it.
I'm sorry, that's what I'm
I know.
wondering, why they don't just sell it
As is.
as is, because a lot of people want to purchase this.
No, I know, and I don't understand why they would do us a big favor and they would come out.
Exactly.
They would come out better off.
Exactly.
Why wouldn't you just sell it?
I know.
Well, the neighbors tried to buy it several
Yeah, oh,
times.
yeah.
We get calls on it all the time.
I know we do.
And then the other one is, he owes $1,571, and he just paid $500 the other day,
All right,
so.
well, that's a respectable payment.
Yeah, so he's trying, well, he hadn't made a payment since 2022.
Okay, well, it's not
So
such
he struggled for a year and he, Candace has been reaching out to him, so he did come in Friday and I was very impressed with him.
Well,
that he
see if you
did.
can set up a meeting, we'll have an executive session with that person.
She's not in town, we
No,
cannot
no,
meet with
not
her.
her.
Oh, okay,
It's the one
I'll
that's
see if he's
making the
available.
payment.
Yep, okay, so I'll meet with him.
But we could do
Reach out.
a phone call
Right.
with the other party, if you think we should.
We can,
I mean,
if you want
I don't
to.
know, I mean,
Will this be our first sale under these new?
Yes.
that's,
Yeah.
Just to be clear, not that I voted.
I know,
This
I'm
was
not looking
because of a
forward to
Supreme
it.
Court case.
Candace printed out the procedure of it and I'm like,
well, that's what I mean, it's too bad to not talk to that party member. David's right, I'm very familiar too. There's
Yeah.
been such
Yeah,
interest
the
from
young fellow that
butters.
lives next door would
It's
like
sort
to
of
buy it because there's a
Yeah.
right of way across that
Yeah,
property.
it's like, you
that
sure you don't
crosses
wanna
his
do it that
property.
way?
yeah.
And I know he's.
It would be so much easier.
So much
It would be
easier.
cheaper.
It's
It
gonna be,
would.
and it's a
Yeah,
headache
it's
for
quite a
Kim
process.
or the town, oh, geez.
May I suggest something? Maybe suggest to her to do it for sale by owner and save her the real estate cost, maybe that's what she's worried about. If you've got a ton of people over there already chomping at the bit for it.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Which I don't know why she hasn't done it. She inherited it from, because it was in Paul's name. He passed away, left it to his son, and then he passed away, and so it forwarded it to
Does the
his
state
daughter-in-law.
mandate allow for the town to do it for sale by owner, or do we have to hire?
We have to go through this new
No,
procedure, which we've never,
This
yeah.
all started with that, there was an elderly couple that lived up on a lake somewhere, and the town foreclosed on their property, they hadn't paid their taxes in years.
Yep.
And they foreclosed on their property, and Governor LePage thought that they were mistreated, and so he changed all the rules, so now, the way it works out, like Kim said, we do all the work, but all the money goes to the person that didn't pay the taxes.
Yeah, I saw that mandate when it came through, I just
It-
wondered
it,
if we actually had to incur realtor costs.
They have to, it comes out, once that house is
Okay.
sold, then all of those costs that the town incurs, is
Okay.
refunded back, yeah, reimbursed back to the town. So all the advertising, you know, the realtor,
But not our
yes, all their
staff time
fees.
or anything.
And we get our taxes, so we don't get anything above and beyond that.
It used to be we sold it.
We
Yeah.
sold it, the last house that we sold, we made $86,000 on it.
Yeah.
And
So
we
it's-
took that money and
Well, benefit
used
you
it,
folks.
used it we set up a fund here to repair the town buildings with it. And it saved us from borrowing a lot of money.
Yeah, no, I
And,
thought that
you know, I
mandate
mean,
was
that,
kind
and
of.
that was a house that we
From a
did not,
Supreme Court
we did not foreclose on that house from an individual, we foreclosed on it from a bank. A bank had owned the house for 13 years, and they just said, we're sick of it,
We're
we
done
want
paying.
nothing to do with it, do whatever you want with it.
We called them, we said, you sure, right? You're our bank. And they're like, we're done. We're
Yeah.
like, all right, so we'll sell it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
they,
no, I understand it, I just.
We've
think
had that
it's-
with land, and in the past history in town, and we've been involved, you know, we foreclosed, remember one time up north town, up on the north end? You remember, $20-something $100, and we turned around and sold it, I thought it was like 14,000 or 8,000 or something
Yeah.
like that. It was like, why wouldn't you sell it? There was no other liens, no problems with it.
Yeah, I know.
But
So, okay, I will reach out to, Mr. Manchester and see.
before I leave, I'd like to get the contact for the one on the Meadow Road too, I'd like to call her.
Okay.
See if I can broker a deal between her and the neighbor.
yeah, I have a quick question.
Right, exactly.
Well, if I could do that, I know the
Be
neighbor
nice.
wants it.
Next budget.
That's what I was gonna ask you.
Yeah,
Yes,
next budget meeting.
yes.
2 o'clock Monday, okay?
2 o'clock Monday, Candy and I would like to have an executive session with the board before that,
So at 2 o'clock.
at 2 o'clock.
Let's make it, yeah, let's make it at 2:30, we'll do the executive session at 2.
2 o'clock, okay. That's fine.
Okay,
That's personnel issue.
okay.
Yes.
Bank reconciliation.
Yeah, so I went over the bank reconciliation with Jason today. I did December and January, I do not have February yet.
Let's just go.
Losing my papers. Here we go. So, the only thing that we were off is $3.08, December and January, which is personal property that was put into the wrong account, taken out on a different day, so now it's like, it was showing on the personal property, real estate side, Jason's aware of it. When I did the bank reconciliation, it showed up in my cash, so I'm leaving it there because I don't know where to put it, and I'm gonna wait until Dean, the brewers, tell me where to put it. They wanted me to have it put it in an undesignated fund, or the general fund, or wherever, so that's the only issue. So, as of where we are from last year to now. So last year, our bank statement was at $825,000 for our checking and savings, and right now we are currently at $401,000. So that tax anticipation note is in the bank in case we have to use it, which we probably will.
But not counted in that balance.
That is not counted in that balance, so, you know, it was unfortunate that we had to do it, but at least we have the funding if we need to, because in 2 weeks, I'm gonna be spending $419,000 for the school.
We, yeah, I have to say, this is the first time in my 30 years as a selectman that we've had to have a tax anticipation loan, and it's because of two things this year. We had a 16.4% increase in our assessment to the county, which for the first time ever, we had to pay them over $1 million
in one installment.
And we have to pay that all in one lump sum. It went up from $870,000 to $1,017,000. And the other thing is the RSU one went up $42,000 a month this year. So
What's
we
the
are now
percentage?
paying them $419,000 every month.
What was it, 15%?
Yeah, I don't know the percentage increase for the county.
No, for
No,
the
for the
school.
school.
Oh, the school, I don't have.
School, I don't know what the
I don't know.
percentage is. I
It's
don't know.
downstairs.
But I know that it went up $42,000 a month.
Was it?
So short story, we ran into a cash flow problem.
Yes.
Short story, we every year we try to take as much as we can out of undesignated surplus to lower the mill rate, to keep our taxes down. And we didn't anticipate, we anticipated an increase from both the county and the school, but we did not anticipate what the final increases were, and they caught us by surprise, because we have to set our budget to go to an April town meeting, and we don't hear from either of them until afterwards. So we have to get out our Ouija board and kind of try to figure what they're doing and everything. I am on the budget committee for the county right now, and I can tell you that right now we're looking at another 16% increase this year for the county, unless we can convince them to trim some of that. So,
Break it up into 2 pieces.
well,
that's
we've asked for that. Allison has put in a bill.
Well, it's not my bill, but I've supported it. It's a bill to allow the counties to come up with a different payment plan.
And there's one other factor that we mentioned is, today, many people have mortgages, right? So all your taxes are in escrow and we have 2 payments. So the payments are made the week before it's due. So there's no, it isn't some kind of like the old days, if you get the tax bill, you don't, the bank pays half the last week of October and the last week of April. And so it's just cash flow. We anticipate correcting this in next fall's.
I mean, we'll be all right.
Yeah.
We don't think that we're gonna have to use, we can borrow up to $396,000 and we have a tax anticipation note for that, but we only have to pay interest on whatever we draw out of that.
Yeah.
So we don't expect to draw much more over $100,000, but we don't know. It depends on.
Your taxes.
If you want to pay your taxes early, we certainly appreciate it.
I'll send Cliff's in tomorrow.
There's a donation box. Real quickly, David, I will say Kim's done a very good job on that. There's so many entries, and when we do these reconciliations and go through it, there's so many pages, and she does all the work, actually explains it to me. But
I'll give you one more quick piece of information that bugs the dickens out of me, is that there are approximately 36,000 people in Saginaw County. 3 people vote on the budget.
For the county.
The county.
Yes, I know. I've watched a couple of their videos.
And they
It's
can
sad.
basically do whatever they want, because they only answer to themselves.
There are other counties, and looking up research on this, each county is set up differently, the relationship between the Budget Advisory Committee and the commissioners, and there are a couple of counties where the Budget Advisory Committee has the final authority.
We do in Sandy Hawk, as long as they exceed their LD1 limit. And I don't know how they did it, but back when the our LD1 limit is ridiculous.
Yeah.
If we didn't exceed it, we couldn't even pay the school, okay? But somehow, they got their LD1 limit set at like $29 million or something like that. They're only using 44% of their LD1 limit. So
that gives them the final
so
authority.
basically, they could almost triple what they spend before we get any authority.
This may be separate from that. Maybe we should talk about doing something, for next year,
So anyway,
Okay.
there's nothing further?
motion to adjourn.
We're out of here.